طيب، الحمد لله رب العالمين، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم، وبارك على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. أما بعد, inshallah, tonight is the first night that we have this lecture after the time change. So Salat al-Isha will be at 9. What I chose to do is to divide this 1 hour between 8 and 9 into two halves. The first half we'll go through the الداء والدواء, and the second half we'll use for the Seerah book. Then if you have questions or comments, then after Salah, inshallah, after Salat al-Isha bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. As this is going to be the last lecture, inshallah, in these books, we will stop for about 3 weeks because of the visit of the Sheikh Abu Muhammad Akram Ziyada, and he will be joined later by the Sheikh Ali al-Halabi, Hafidhullah, Hafidhumullah Jami'an. So this will be the last one now, and then 3 weeks. Then after that, we come back to our class or our lectures. I chose that this time we won't go like more further. We will just basically use it as a review for what has passed, especially for الداء والدواء. الفصول في سيرة الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. We will use a last piece, just finishing it before the Battle of Badr, so that later on when we come back, we start from the Battle of Badr and not slice it up or cut it into parts. We will start from there, inshallah ta'ala. There is a small piece that we will do, and then we will go through the review. Now, I remind you of this book, الجواب الكافي لمن سأل عن الدواء الشافي, the sufficient reply to the one who asked for the healing answer, or given the title as الداء والدواء, the disease and the cure. Those lectures that have passed, Al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim covered a lot of information, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. The question that was raised to him is someone who was struck with a calamity, someone who is going through a specific trial, a difficulty, and he is afraid, this person is afraid that if it continues, then it will completely destroy his deen and his akhirah, his dunya, his worldly life, and his next life. Yani his deen and his dunya, it will destroy completely both. He did his very best to push that problem, that trial away from him, but he couldn't. And it's like, a little flame. This problem is like a little flame, and it is increasing and increasing. Every time he starts trying to push it away from him, تتوقد. It's as if he is putting more fuel to the fire, right? And he's asking, what is the way to push this problem away from me, right? Al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim started by establishing that every disease has a cure. Allah did not send down a disease except that He sent a cure for it. And if the cure meets the disease or falls on the disease, then that disease will be gone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that from the healing, from the means of healing, shifa, is the Qur'an. The Qur'an itself, all of it, is a source for healing. He mentioned the hadith, the famous hadith of Al-Fatiha, where Abu Sa'id Al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, he recited the Fatiha a few times upon a person who got bitten by a poisonous insect or a poisonous snake. So he continued reciting Al-Fatiha on him and spitting over the place until he saw that the poison was coming out from the bite, showing that the Qur'an is truly a healing. He, however, highlighted the fact that these verses from the Qur'an and also the adhkar, the words of remembrance that Rasulullah ﷺ taught that can be used as a healing, they are healing, they are beneficial within themselves, but then the place where it is recited upon, it has to accept. It has to accept. And also the person who is reciting has to have an effect. He has to have power to bring the healing. He has to have a willpower. And if there is no healing that is concluded or that is happening, then either the doer, the reciter, right? Because the reciter is doing dhikr and it is dua. Either the reciter has a problem where the dua is not being answered, or the place itself that is being recited on, it does not accept this, or that there is a barrier, there is something stopping the medicine, this healing medicine, from taking effect. He says, like the other normal sicknesses, the regular sicknesses, and the medicine that you use. Sometimes you drink medicine and you just vomit it. The place doesn't accept it, right? It doesn't take it, right? And sometimes the one who prescribed it is not prescribing the right thing, right? Or there is another problem. You are treating a certain sickness using a certain medicine for it, but because you have another sickness, that other sickness is stopping that healing, that medicine from doing its effect, right? He spoke about the fact that ad-du'a is one of the most beneficial types of medicine, right? Du'a is one of the most beneficial types of healing medicine or means of healing. These are now spiritual type. You have the natural types of healings or medicine, and you have the spiritual ones, right? Dua is one of the means, right? And one of the most beneficial means. And in terms of bala, you have dua, supplication, and you have bala, which is trial or a problem or a sickness that is coming down, that is destined. He said that ad-du'a has three cases with al-bala, with trials. Either ad-du'a is going to be stronger than that calamity, and therefore the dua will push away that harm, or the dua will be weaker than the sickness or the problem or the calamity, and therefore the trial or the difficulty will overcome the dua, and the person will be hit by that problem or that difficulty or sickness, but then the dua might reduce or lighten up the problem. Even if it was weak, it wasn't able to push it away, but still the dua might have an effect in reducing and lightening up the difficulty or the problem. The third case is that the dua will be wrestling with al-bala, the trial. They will be wrestling and fighting with one another, and each one of them will stop the other. Each one of them will stop the other. They will not be able to beat one another, but then they will stop one another from taking effect. He says that one of the most beneficial cures is al-ilhahu fi du'a, is to insist upon calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to stop and say, that I wasn't answered, and you stop like that, you hasten, right? Insist, al-ilhah fi du'a, ask and ask again and ask again. And he mentioned the hadith which says, man lam yas'alillah yaghdab alayh, the one who doesn't ask Allah, Allah will be angry with him. Yani subhanallah, this dua is for your own benefit. Yet if you don't ask Allah, Allah is angry with you. Right? Allah is angry if you do not ask him. There are things that may prevent dua from being accepted. One of them is to hasten, to be hasty, to expecting a rush, answer for your dua. Right? You view the response from Allah to be delayed or deferred, so you stop making dua. This is like someone who put the seeds in the ground, right? And he started, irrigating it, and he's hoping for this seed to turn into a plant and bring some crops. But then after he did that, he just ignored his seed. He did not look after it. He did not continue to water it, and therefore it did not bring the fruits that he wants. Also, it is very important, the Sheikh mentioned, that your heart be present, that you are attentive and you are focused in your dua, that your heart, you are turning to Allah wholeheartedly with all your senses, asking from Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, if you are completely focused and your dua matched a time when Allah answers the dua, and then he mentioned some of those times, the last third of the night, and when the adhan is made, and between adhan and iqamah, and after, at the end of the regular compulsory prayers, and when the imam goes up on the minbar on the day of al-Jumu'ah up until the salah is finished, and at the last hour after Salat al-Asr on the day of Friday. So if you are focused and you use one of these blessed times when dua is answerable, and if your dua was done with complete humility and humbleness, and your heart is completely shattered in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you face the qibla, if you are having tahara, purification, you raise your hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you start with praising Allah and mentioning His attributes of glory, and you repeat thana, you repeat the praises for Allah. Then you say salah and salam on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then you use as an introduction to your need, you do forward the tawbah and istighfar. You start by repenting from your sins and seeking forgiveness from Allah. Then you enter upon Allah and you ask and you ask and you continue to ask and you insist and you insist, and you ask Allah by His names and His attributes and by His oneness subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you also offer a sadaqah before this dua or with this dua, then he said, هذا الدعاء لا يكاد يرد أبدا. This type of a dua is hardly that is going to be rejected. This dua is hardly going to be rejected. Now, if the dua has in its wordings, if you used a dua that within its wordings there are reasons why Rasulullah ﷺ said that the dua will be answered if you used such and such words, and he used the ahadith, and I hope that some of us have memorized those ahadith. اللهم إني أسألك بأني أشهد أنك أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك، أو الأحد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Or the dua of ذو النون لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. Or اللهم إني أسألك بأن لك الحمد لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك المنان يا بديع السماوات والأرض يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا حي يا قيوم. Right? Or لا إله إلا الله العظيم الحليم لا إله إلا الله رب العرش العظيم. The dua of the karb, the sadness. And the other dua, the longer one, اللهم إني عبدك ابن عبدك ابن أمتك ناصيتي بيدك ماض في حكمك عدل في قضاؤك, to the end of the hadith. Those words, if you use them, right, then your dua then is very likely going to be answered. And he said that if the dua in itself was not a righteous dua, or the da'i, the one who is calling upon Allah, he was not focused, he did not gather together his heart and attention upon what he is asking, or if there is something to prevent the dua from being answered, then the effect will not be achieved. The effect will not be achieved. Then he moved on to talk about that there is a big difference between having good expectations from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, husnul dhann, to think always good about Allah, that He will always be kind and nice and merciful towards you. There is difference between this and being someone who is cheated, someone who deceived his own self. For many people, he said, who are ignorant, they will say or claim that they depend on the mercy of Allah and His pardon and His generosity, but then ضيعوا أمره ونهيه. They had His commands and His prohibitions. They completely are lost in terms of following Allah's orders and staying away from His prohibitions. And they forgot that Allah is also severe when He punishes those sinners, and that His punishment cannot be repelled from the wrongdoing folks, from the criminals. لا يرد بأسه عن القوم المجرمين. So he said that the one who depends on pardon along with insisting upon committing sins, then he is like the one who is being stubborn and arrogant. من اعتمد على العفو مع الإصرار فهو كالمعاند. The one who is insisting upon committing the sins and disobediences, yet he claims, I am depending on the mercy of Allah and His pardon. This is like someone who is committing something wrong and being stubborn and arrogant about it. So why should he think, or should she think, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have mercy on them or will not punish them? He mentioned a statement, رجاؤك لرحمة من لا تطيعه من الخذلان والحمق. He said, for you to hope for the mercy of the one whom you do not obey, this is part of being in a state of failure and part of being foolish. Part of being foolish. And he mentioned a hadith about different people who are being punished. One of them is the one who commands good and forbid evil, and he does not follow it. He will be punished severely, and he will be asked by those people who know him. They say, what's the matter with you? He says, I used to command you to do good and I don't do it. I used to forbid you from evil, yet I used to do it. He said that some of the people who are fooled and deceived, they depend upon the fact that Allah is showering them with His mercy. He is being bountiful towards them. He is giving them favors after favors. They say that, see, this shows that Allah loves me. If Allah does not love me, He will not give me these worldly benefits. And He says the fact that He is giving me these worldly benefits like this, it means that in the next life I will get even more and more and better, right? They are deceived by that. And he mentioned the statement of some of the scholars of the past who said that if you see Allah continuously sending to you His favors, right? One favor followed by another favor, yet you are continuously establishing and committing sins and disobediences, then you beware of Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. For this is istidraj, what is called istidraj. Istidraj is someone being gradually taken to his evil end. وَالْعِيَاذُ billah. And he mentioned that the people who are deceived the most, those who are fooled the most, are the ones who are deceived and fooled by the worldly pleasures and those immediate worldly pleasures and benefits that they receive, and therefore they give them precedence over the next life. They will give them precedence over al-akhirah, to a point that some of them will treat the issue exactly like they deal with worldly matters. They say worldly benefits are cash, and the benefits in next life, they are, deferred payment, deferred reward. So they want to get immediate cash. They don't want the payment that is later. This is the shaitan giving them those ideas and beautifying those thoughts to them. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. He said that the animals, they are more wise, they understand better than these people, because the animals, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them by nature. If they see something harmful to them, they step away from it, they stay away from it, right? The animals. And this person, he sees that there is harm and still he doesn't care what happens. If there is a plant that the animal knows it's harmful to it, even if you beat it, it will not eat that plant, the Sheikh says, right? Even وَلَوْ ضُرِبَتْ لَمْ تُقْدِمْ عَلَيْهِ إِذَا خَافَتْ مَضَرَّةَ شَيْءٍ لَمْ تُقْدِمْ عَلَيْهِ وَلَوْ ضُرِبَتْ. If it's afraid of the harm of something, it will not go to it, even if it was beaten. And then those people, they rush to do something that will completely destroy them. And هو بين مصدق ومكذب. He is not completely a believer, and he is not someone who is denying, right? He is not someone who is a denier, right? So this person who is talking about like this, does he truly believe in Allah, and that Allah will hold the people accountable, that there is a day of judgment? Does he believe in that, or he doesn't? If he doesn't, then he is a denier, that he is ruined in this life and in the next life. But if he is a believer, yet he is so shaky like this, having so much weak faith, right? Then he is going to be also, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, destroyed. Now, he mentions the hadith which compares the dunya to the akhirah. He says it's like if you enter your finger into the sea and take it out, look how much water you are taking from the sea, right? How much water came out? Not too much at all. There is no comparison at all between this water that you took away from the sea. So this is comparing the whole worldly life, the life of this world, all of it, to the next life, is like this water that you take away from the sea if you dip your finger in it. So the Sheikh said, what about your life, which is going to be 60 or 70, 100 years, how many years? If all this worldly life compared to the akhirah, is that like the water that you take when you dip your finger into the sea, right? What about 60 or 70 years or 80 years from the life of a human being? How does it compare to the next life? And he says that if you as a human being, if you consider your condition from the time when you were a sperm, and then you moved into different stages up until you matured, if you consider your condition, you will understand that this mighty creator who looked after you and looked after the finest details of your life from beginning to the time you matured and you became old, you will know that this mighty creator who took complete care of the finest details, he will not just create you and just abandon you. He will not do that. If you just reflect on this fact, you will know that he will not abandon you and let you just go loose, do what you want. He will not command you. He will not forbid you. He will not send a prophet to you. He will not send down revelation to you that is not suitable. If you see how much care he took, diligent care, finest details of your life from the beginning, then it cannot be that he will just create you and forget about you like that and not, command you and forbid you and not tell you what you will expect after you die. So then he said there is a big difference between حسن الظن والغرور. حسن الظن والغرور. Having good expectations and good thoughts about Allah and being completely deceived and fooled. And if you have حسن الظن, good expectation, if that good expectations of yours are leading you to do good deeds, encouraging you to do good deeds, then this is true حسن الظن, through having good expectations or good thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if this leads you to depend on this belief, oh, Allah is going to be kind and good to me, so I don't have to do anything, I can disobey, I can leave what Allah has commanded me to do. If this is what you call good expectations, then this is not true, and this is a false type of hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the difference is that this raja, hope in Allah, husn al-dhan, having good thought and good expectations in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will be along with doing the means, doing the causes that will bring this mercy and kindness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you. So the one who is having good thought and the one having hope in Allah, then he is someone who is automatically being a person who is doing good deeds. And if this person falls into sins, then he will start by repenting and seeking forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from those sins, and then he will have good thoughts that Allah will have mercy on him. He will have good expectations from Allah, and he will have hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help him. He said that there is a big difference between al-raja, hope in Allah, and al-amani, mere wishes or wishful thinking. And the one who truly hopes to have something, he will love it completely, and he will be completely afraid to miss what he is hoping for, and he will labor as much as possible to achieve what he is hoping for. As for raja or hope that is claimed but is not coupled with any of these, love for what you hope and fear that you will miss it and laboring hard to achieve it, right? If your hope does not have these three elements, then that is just wishful thinking, mere wishes, and hope is something and wishful thinking is something else. That's why he said كُلُّ رَاجٍ خَائِفٍ. Everyone who has hope, then he also has fear along with that hope, right? He is hoping to achieve and he is afraid to lose and to miss, right? So the one who is treading the path, the one who is walking on the path, then إِذَا خَافْ, when he is afraid, you are going to a certain destination, you are traveling. If you are afraid that you will not reach your destination in time, what will you do? You will rush Maybe you will walk during the day and you will walk during the night too. You travel day and night until you reach. And then he mentioned the hadith of Al-Imam At-Tirmidhi, in the book of Al-Imam At-Tirmidhi, from the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Man khafa adlaj," the one who fears, he will travel at night time. وَمَنْ أَدْلَجَ بَلَغَ الْمَنْزِلِ, and the one who travels at night time, he will reach his destination. أَلَا إِنَّ سِلْعَةَ اللَّهِ غَالِيَةٌ, surely the merchandise of Allah is precious, is expensive. And أَلَا إِنَّ سِلْعَةَ اللَّهِ الْجَنَّةِ, surely the merchandise of Allah is paradise. Then he said that the one who reflects upon the conditions of the companions radiallahu anhum, he will find that they are في غاية العمل مع غاية الخوف. They have the utmost in terms of laboring hard, working hard, doing good deeds, and they have the utmost fear. Then he says, and us, this is Imam al-Qayyim, he's saying that in the 8th century of Al-Hijrah rahimahullah, he said, نحن جمعنا بين التقصير بل التفريط والأمن. He said, as for us, we combined between tafrit, being relaxed, being easy, taking matters, easy, rather falling short, deficient, being deficient, right? We combined between that and al-amn, having safety and security, that, mashallah, we have, a good position there in paradise, right? We combined between this and that. While the companions, radiallahu anhum, they were so much laboring hard, and they were so much afraid that their deeds will not be accepted. Then he mentioned those narrations that we mentioned last week from Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, and from Umar radiallahu anhu, and from Uthman radiallahu anhu, and Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, and Abu Darda, and Ibn Abi Mulaykah, who said that I got to meet with, to see 30 of the companions of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All of them were afraid for hypocrisy for themselves. You say things, you say you believe. All of us say we believe in the Akhirah. How many times do we remember Al-Akhirah in our daily life? How many times? And if we remember it, how much are we affected by this remembrance, right, of the Akhirah? Are we prepared? If we die today, if we die this moment, if we do not make it to Salat al-Isha, I ask myself, you ask yourselves, are we ready to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? The companions, they were doing so much, and then they were so much scared. But then us, we are on the other side. And he mentioned the statement of Imam al-Bukhari, a section in his Sahih. He said, خوف المؤمن من أن يحبط عمله وهو لا يشعر. He put a section in his Sahih, the fear of the believer that his deeds will be abolished while he doesn't even feel it. He doesn't even sense it, right? And Al-Imam ibn al-Qayyim also, he expanded on this in the other book that we went through, and that was Al-Wabil al-Sayyib, rahimahullah. He mentioned there a number of narrations in this regard. And last week also, some narrations were mentioned in this regard. I remember, subhanallah, it just came to my mind when I was telling you this. There was one person who was brought, maybe 15 years ago, or maybe longer than that. One of the people who memorized the Qur'an, he was brought to lead the salah in one of the masajid, and he's supposedly he's a sheikh, right? But he's living in an environment that environment which is so, so much relaxed. So he came here and he saw, how these enjoyments and things, and you can do whatever, and the money, and so he was so much so much shocked at what he saw. So one of the brothers invited him for, it was Ramadan, we invited him for iftar. So he was so much overwhelmed, like, how do these people in this country, full of all of these pleasures, they are fasting, they are going to the masajid, they are praying Taraweeh, they grow beards, they don't care, their women are covered, Wallahi al-Azim, and I attended this myself. He was saying, you are in paradise, and you are in paradise, and you are in like this. He's an old man, he was an old man, a funny man also, but then this is how what happened to him. He came from an environment that maybe has supposedly a lot of deen in there, but then so much relaxed, so much, so he came here, he saw these people are praying 5 times, and they go to the masjid and they pray Taraweeh. Maybe he viewed that to be too much, right? When, wallahi, subhanallah al-azim, those things, but this is the case. I'm just trying to drive this point home. There are amongst us those who think, mashallah, you imagine those, we come to the masajid and we attend lectures and we pray, and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, we try to do whatever we are doing. Those who are other Muslims who don't go to the masajid, they might think we are khalas, one foot here and the other one in paradise. This is some of them, that's how they think. When the companions, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, you heard what he was saying. Umar, you heard what he was saying. Right? And these are, some of these narrations are with authentic chains. And you heard what Aisha radiallahu anha said when Abdullah ibn Abbas came and he was giving her, the hopeful side, because at the deathbed, you are beloved to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He wouldn't love anything but good. Your necklace got lost, the Muslims got the tayammum because of you. And she was saying, I wish, stop, she doesn't want to hear that. She's afraid for herself, right? Radiallahu anha wa ardaha fil jannah. And he says, Allah sent down Qur'aan that is being recited in the mosques, declaring your innocence. And he's trying to give her the hopeful side. And she said, she's afraid for herself. Right? Radiallahu anha wa ardaha fil jannah. This is how it should be. I passed the time, 5 minutes more than what I should. But then that was the summary of what we did. And inshallah, we had good sessions already, maybe 10, 15, or I don't know how many. But every time we're going to try to wrap up like that, summarize, so that we don't lose focus on what we are doing. Now he says he's going to go back to his main topic, and that is the evils of sins and disobediences. So he will mention what happened to the previous nations, and then he will start mentioning the different evil effects of sins and disobediences. Right? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب